The Bold and the Beautiful, Nick's shocking accusation, and Brooke's dangerous secret in the ever-evolving world of the bold and the beautiful, the stakes have never been higher. The dramatic tension surrounding Brooke Logan, Eric Forrester, Ridge Forrester, and Nick Marone has taken a dark turn as a shocking revelation threatens to unravel everything. What was once a romantic and complicated love triangle has now spiraled into an intense murder mystery that will not only shake the Forrester family, but could tear apart the relationships that have been carefully built over the years. The latest bombshell involves Nick Marone, who has publicly accused Brooke of being a murderer after being rejected by her when he proposed. This accusation, based on a dark secret, sends shockwaves through everyone involved, and the consequences of these revelations will likely be catastrophic, especially for Brooke and her fragile relationship with Ridge. Nick's accusation. A dangerous revelation ***. The latest twist in the storyline comes when Nick Marone, in a moment of desperation and heartache, accuses Brooke Logan of being responsible for the death of Quinn Forrester. It's a charge that no one expected, especially not after years of peace between the characters. The accusation is based on a shocking claim that Brooke was involved in Quinn's death, and Nick's decision to air this in public comes after an emotional confrontation with Brooke. Nick's accusation stems from a series of events that began when Brooke turned down his marriage proposal. The rejection stung Nick deeply, and his hurt feelings quickly transformed into anger. As the emotions between the two escalated, Nick made an explosive claim that Brooke was directly involved in Quinn's death, a statement that would send ripples throughout the Forrester family. His accusation is not made lightly. It is grounded in a secret he accidentally uncovered years ago when Brooke came to him for help regarding her troubled marriage and her feelings for Eric Forrester. The shocking discovery: Nick's accidental knowledge. Nick, who has long been a part of the Forrester family dynamic, stumbled upon a secret that he never intended to uncover. Brooke, who had been dealing with her own emotional turmoil and conflict with Ridge, found herself in a difficult situation involving Eric Forrester. During a time when Brooke was uncertain of her place in Ridge's life and struggled with her feelings for both men, she turned to Nick for help. In a vulnerable moment, Brooke confessed to Nick that she had been seeing Eric, and their relationship had become more than just an emotional affair. It had turned into a deep, physical connection that had evolved over time. Nick, who had always been protective of Brooke, was taken aback by this revelation. At the time, he had no idea the implications this would have, and while he never expected this secret to come to light, he couldn't help but feel betrayed by Brooke's actions. What Nick didn't expect was that his accidental knowledge of Brooke's secret would come to play a significant role in the events that would unfold in the future. Nick's knowledge of the affair between Brooke and Eric placed him in a unique position, one where he had the power to expose a dangerous truth. But Nick was not the only one who became aware of the deepening relationship between Brooke and Eric. Quinn, Eric's wife at the time, eventually discovered the affair as well. The consequences of Quinn's anger and betrayal were dire. Nick had no idea just how far the situation would escalate, but it all came to a head when Quinn ended up dead under mysterious circumstances. The murder. A tragic twist ***. While the exact details surrounding Quinn's death remain unclear, it is widely believed that her death was the result of a violent confrontation fueled by the deep emotional scars caused by Brooke's affair with Eric. It was a devastating blow to the Forrester family, one that shattered relationships and left many questions unanswered. Quinn's death, though ruled as an accident at the time, was surrounded by suspicion, especially given the context of Brooke's affair with Eric. Nick, who had been helping Brooke with her personal struggles, became entangled in the aftermath of Quinn's tragic death. His knowledge of the affair, combined with the timing of Quinn's death, made him suspicious that Brooke might have been involved in some way. At first, Nick tried to suppress his suspicions, but the more he thought about the situation, the more he became convinced that Brooke had played a role in Quinn's death. His emotional turmoil over Brooke's rejection, combined with the years of tension between the characters, pushed Nick to take drastic action. In a dramatic turn, Nick accused Brooke of being directly responsible for Quinn's death. He claimed that Brooke had been the one to take matters into her own hands, knowing that Quinn's wrath would destroy everything she had worked for with Eric. Nick's assertion that Brooke was the murderer came as a shock to everyone, especially to Ridge, who had never suspected that his beloved wife could be capable of such a heinous act. Brooke's denial, a battle for trust. Brooke, devastated by Nick's public accusation, vehemently denied being involved in Quinn's death. She knew that the truth was far more complicated than Nick was willing to understand. Brooke's relationship with Eric had been one of emotional complexity, and though it was a betrayal of Ridge, she never imagined it would lead to such dire consequences. As for Quinn, Brooke had never intended for things to escalate the way they did, and she certainly didn't want Quinn to die. However, Brooke knew that the damage was done. Nick's accusation had set off a chain reaction that could potentially destroy everything she had built with Ridge. What made this situation even more complicated was the fact that Ridge had no idea about the full extent of Brooke's affair with Eric. Ridge had long believed that his marriage to Brooke was solid, and he had no idea that his wife had been carrying on such a secret. When Nick's accusation reached him, Ridge's world was turned upside down. His anger and disbelief were palpable as he processed the shocking information. Ridge's reaction, a family torn apart. Ridge's reaction to Nick's accusation was one of complete disbelief and heartbreak. He could not fathom that Brooke, the woman he loved, could be involved in something as monstrous as murder. But as the evidence began to mount and Nick's claims gained traction, Ridge's trust in Brooke began to erode. The idea that his wife had been hiding such a dark secret from him was unbearable. Ridge confronted Brooke, demanding answers, but no matter what she said, the damage was already done. For Brooke, the weight of Ridge's distrust was crushing. She had always been able to rely on Ridge's support, but now, in the face of Nick's accusation, she found herself isolated and on the defensive. Ridge's belief in her innocence was no longer a given, and the rift between them seemed to grow wider with each passing day. Brooke knew that if Ridge ever found out the full extent of her affair with Eric, their relationship might never recover. The fallout, a family on the brink of destruction as the days passed and the investigation into Quinn's death continued, tensions within the Forrester family reached a boiling point. The truth about what really happened to Quinn was still unclear, but the ramifications of Nick's accusation were already being felt. Brooke was left trying to salvage her relationship with Ridge, all while battling the mounting pressure of being accused of a crime she did not commit. Ridge's feelings of betrayal ran deep, and no matter how much Brooke tried to explain herself, he seemed unwilling to listen. His pain and disbelief were evident, and as the truth began to unfold, Ridge realized that his entire world had been turned upside down. Not only had his wife been keeping secrets from him, but now the woman he trusted the most was being accused of murder. For Nick, the aftermath of his accusation was bittersweet. While he had succeeded in bringing Brooke's secret to light, he knew that the fallout would be catastrophic for everyone involved. He had hoped that his accusation would finally make Brooke realize the pain she had caused him, but the consequences were far more devastating than he had imagined. Nick's actions had ignited a firestorm that no one could control. The final showdown: will Brooke be exonerated or exposed? As the investigation into Quinn's death unfolds, the question remains: will Brooke be exonerated, or will she be exposed as the true culprit? The drama surrounding her involvement in Quinn's death will continue to unfold, with Ridge's heartache and anger threatening to tear apart the Forrester family. As the secrets of the past come to light, everyone will be forced to confront the truth, no matter how painful it may be. For Brooke, the stakes couldn't be higher. Her relationship with Ridge hangs in the balance, and the threat of losing everything she has fought for looms large. Will the truth finally come to light, And will she be able to redeem herself, or will Nick's accusation be the final blow to her future with Ridge? Only time will tell as The Bold and the Beautiful continues to deliver its trademark blend of drama, deception, and heartbreak. The Bold and the Beautiful. Brooke's downfall and Nick's departure **** as the tension escalates and the world of the Forrester family unravels, Brooke Logan's worst fears come to life. Despite her vehement denials and desperate attempts to prove her innocence, the weight of Nick Marone's accusation and the evidence against her becomes too overwhelming. The dark cloud of suspicion surrounding her involvement in Quinn Forrester's death continues to hang over her head, and the walls close in as the legal system takes its course. In a dramatic turn of events, Brooke is arrested and thrown into prison, a stark reminder of just how far the Forrester family's tangled web of lies and deceit has spiraled. Brooke's arrest. The weight of guilt and public shame. The arrest came swiftly and without warning. Brooke had tried to keep her composure as the sheriff's deputies arrived at her doorstep, but the shock and betrayal she felt from Ridge's belief in Nick's accusation left her feeling helpless. The man she loved, the father of her children, had turned his back on her when she needed him the most. Ridge's refusal to believe her protests of innocence left her feeling cornered, with no one to turn to. As the handcuffs were placed on Brooke's wrists and she was led away from her home in front of the media, the public humiliation was almost too much to bear. The news spread like wildfire, with the media sensationalizing the story of the Forrester matriarch's alleged involvement in a murder. Her reputation, once untarnished, was now tarnished forever. Brooke had spent her entire life building a family, a career, and a name for herself, but in a single moment, it all seemed to come crashing down. Inside the prison walls, Brooke found herself in an unfamiliar and terrifying environment. The life she once knew, filled with luxury and love, now seemed like a distant memory. Alone in a cold, sterile cell, Brooke struggled to come to terms with her reality. How had things gotten so out of control? The woman who had been at the center of so many pivotal moments in the Forrester family's history was now fighting for her freedom, all while the man she loved, Ridge, believed she could be a murderer. Brooke's only hope now lay in the possibility of a trial where she could prove her innocence and convince Ridge of the truth. But with the mounting evidence and Nick's accusations, it felt like a long shot. It was a nightmare that seemed impossible to escape from. Nick's departure. A chapter closes **** in the midst of Brooke's tumultuous situation. Nick Marone, the man whose accusations had triggered this chain of events, made a decision that would leave everyone in shock. Realizing the devastation his accusations had caused and feeling a deep sense of responsibility for the chaos he had helped create, Nick decided that it was time for him to leave town. The weight of the consequences of his actions had become too much to bear, and he believed that the only way for him to find peace was to leave Los Angeles behind. Nick's decision to leave was not one made lightly. He had always been a part of the Forrester family, and he had shared many intimate moments with Brooke over the years. His love for her had been genuine, and although their relationship had been complicated, Nick had always hoped for a future with Brooke. However, the pain of her rejection, combined with the guilt of accusing her of a crime she might not have committed, was too much for Nick to handle. He couldn't stay and watch as Brooke's life continued to spiral out of control because of his actions. As Nick packed his bags and prepared to leave town, he couldn't help but reflect on everything that had happened. He knew he had made mistakes, perhaps even more than he was willing to admit, but he also knew that the people he loved most were suffering because of them. His departure was his way of making amends, even if it meant walking away from the life he had known in Los Angeles. Ridge's struggle, a family torn apart while Nick was preparing to leave town, Ridge Forrester found himself at a crossroads. The news of Brooke's arrest had hit him like a ton of bricks, and the guilt of doubting her was eating him alive. He had believed Nick's accusations, convinced that Brooke was hiding something, but now that she was behind bars, the reality of the situation became all too clear. Ridge's trust in Brooke had been shaken, but the idea that she might actually be guilty of murder was a thought he could not reconcile with the woman he had loved for so many years. Ridge's heartache deepened as he processed the weight of his actions. He had pushed Brooke away when she needed him the most, and now she was paying the price. The once solid foundation of their relationship was now cracked, and Ridge wasn't sure how to fix it. He knew he couldn't just sit by and let his wife suffer in prison, but his feelings of betrayal and hurt ran deep. Was it too late to repair their relationship? Could he ever forgive Brooke for keeping secrets from him, even if she hadn't committed the crime Nick had accused her of? As Ridge struggled with his emotions, he realized that the truth was still elusive. He couldn't help but wonder if there was more to the story than Nick had revealed. Was there someone else involved in Quinn's death? Could there be a deeper conspiracy at play, one that was meant to destroy Brooke and everything she held dear? The answers were unclear, and Ridge found himself torn between his love for Brooke and his need for justice. The trial, a fight for freedom with Brooke now in prison, her fate lay in the hands of the legal system. As the date of her trial approached, the Forrester family was thrown into turmoil. Brooke's defense attorney worked tirelessly to build a case that would clear her name, but the odds were stacked against her. Nick's accusation and the evidence surrounding Quinn's death were powerful forces that could not be easily dismissed. The trial would not only determine Brooke's fate, but also reveal the true depth of the secrets that had been buried for so long. Would Ridge stand by her side and help prove her innocence, or would he remain swayed by the doubts that had been planted in his mind? As the courtroom drama unfolded, everyone involved would have to confront their own feelings of guilt, loyalty, and betrayal. Brooke's survival depended not only on proving her innocence, but also on repairing the relationships that had been shattered by Nick's accusations. Her love for Ridge and their family was strong, but the truth was a powerful thing, and as the trial progressed, the answers would begin to come to light. Nick's regret and redemption. As Nick left Los Angeles and began a new chapter of his life, he couldn't escape the feelings of regret that haunted him. His actions had caused irreparable damage to the people he cared about, and no matter how far he ran, the consequences of his choices would follow him. But perhaps Nick's departure was the beginning of his redemption, a way for him to escape the guilt and the chaos he had caused and make peace with himself. As Nick disappeared into the horizon, leaving Los Angeles behind, he knew that his past would always be part of him. But for now, he needed to find peace and move forward, even if it meant severing ties with the people he had once called family. For Brooke and Ridge, the battle was far from over, and their lives would never be the same. The future unfolds, redemption or destruction, as the trial continued and the investigation into Quinn's death deepened. The future of Brooke Logan, Ridge Forrester, and the entire Forrester family hung in the balance. Would Brooke be exonerated, or would her darkest secret be exposed for all to see? Would Ridge find it in his heart to forgive her, or would their marriage be torn apart beyond repair? The road ahead was uncertain, and as the drama continued to unfold, the lives of everyone involved would be changed forever. The Bold and the Beautiful had delivered yet another explosive chapter, filled with heartache, betrayal, and the looming specter of justice. The lives of Brooke, Ridge, and the Forrester family would never be the same, and the world watched as the drama unfolded, each twist and turn more shocking than the last. The battle for redemption was on, and only time would reveal who would come out on top.